Hi, Recap Top here. Today I'm going to explain a horror movie called Outside. The movie begins in the Philippines, where the major cities are overrun by mindless zombies. Our main character, Francis Abel, manages to escape Manila and heads to his home village with his wife, Iris, and their two sons, Josh and Lucas. They arrive at an old, seemingly abandoned house. Francis grabs a metal pipe and cautiously enters the house. While inside, he hears faint noises upstairs and goes to investigate. He finds a dead man lying in a bed with a gun near his hand, suggesting he took his own life. Francis takes the gun and a wristwatch before heading back outside. As he stands at the door, he sees his mother, now a zombie. She attacks him, and Francis is forced to kill her. After this horrible encounter, Francis buries his parents in the cornfield. The family settles into the house for the night. However, Francis is unable to sleep and stays on guard. The next morning, he checks the water supply and finds it clean, allowing his sons to use it. Iris, however, is unhappy about being stuck in the house. Later, Francis takes his oldest son, Josh, to explore another house nearby. They find a radio, a flashlight, and some chickens in a cage. They also discover the owner's dead body hanging from the ceiling. Francis orders Josh to grab the keys from the dead man's belt. As Josh pulls the keys, the body falls onto him, injuring him. However, Francis doesn't help Josh, wanting his son to learn how to handle tough situations on his own. That afternoon, Iris takes Francis to the basement to search for supplies. It's revealed that Francis's abusive father used to lock him in the basement as punishment. He is still haunted by this trauma, but continues searching and finds a generator that's out of fuel. That evening, during dinner, Iris suggests they head north, as instructed by the government. However, Francis insists they stay in the house for safety. The next day, a conversation near the cornfield reveals that Josh is not Francis' biological son, which explains why Francis treats him differently than Lucas. Despite their differences, Francis eventually agrees to leave for the north, prioritizing his family's safety. As they drive in their van, Josh accidentally mentions that Iris had received a call from Francis's estranged brother, Diego. This makes Francis angry, and he nearly crashes the van. The family realizes the van cannot move forward, so they decide to return to the house. The family returns to the house, but as they attempt to clear a barricade on a bridge, a soldier-turned-zombie appears. Francis helps Iris by shooting the zombie, but more zombies surround the van, trapping their sons inside. In a desperate attempt to save them, Francis draws the zombies away, while Iris manages to free their sons. Francis lures the zombies further away and uses a grenade to kill them. Afterward, the family returns to the house. 2 weeks later, Francis secretly returns to the bridge to find the van is working again. He almost drives it back to the house but changes his mind, deciding he doesn't want to leave his ancestral home. He returns with fuel and lies to Iris, saying the van is broken. He then surprises the family by getting the generator working, providing them with lights, air conditioning, and music. The next morning, while gathering eggs from the chicken cage, Francis finds a dog that has killed the chickens and bitten him. Iris treats his wound but suggests they find a hospital for rabies treatment. Once again, Francis refuses to leave the safety of the house. Meanwhile, Josh hears a broadcast about a nearby camp, but he can't decipher the message completely. He tells his parents about it during dinner, sparking a heated argument. Iris wants to leave and find the camp, but Francis insists they stay, reminding her of the dangers outside. The next morning, while Francis is repairing the chicken cage, Josh asks to turn on the generator. Francis refuses, leading to a fight. Francis asks Josh if he would kill to protect the family, just as he did at the bridge. When Josh confidently answers yes, Francis takes him to the field to teach him how to use a gun. Iris overhears and is disturbed by how Francis is tormenting Josh, much like his father tormented him. Suddenly, zombies appear due to the loud gunshots, and the family rushes back inside the house. The zombies break through the door and windows, but just as it seems like the family is doomed, a jeep arrives and distracts the zombies. The next morning, Francis goes to a nearby river and discovers that the man who saved them from the zombies is his brother, Diego. They talk about their pasts, and Diego apologizes for everything, revealing that he came to help them. However, Francis, full of pride, refuses Diego's help and even points a gun at him. Diego, unwilling to fight, leaves the house, but not before giving Francis a map to a northern camp. Francis considers burning the map, but decides against it. He returns home and lies to Iris, telling her that Diego was already dead when he arrived. Later, while Lucas is playing, he chases a fly and ends up at the basement. There, he spots a zombie outside the window. Iris also notices that the zombies are growing weaker due to a lack of food. She believes they will eventually die out and reassures Lucas that things will return to normal. However, Francis overhears them and, in secret, kills a weakened zombie he found outside to fabricate a story. He tells his family that there are still zombies around, hoping to keep them inside the house. Later, during dinner, Josh reveals that he saw the map in Francis's possession. The map leads to a camp to the north where they can be safe. Francis becomes very possessive and tries to convince Iris to stay and grow their family on the farm. Iris disagrees, saying their life is no longer normal. She reminds him that they need to focus on survival, as their food reserves are running out. She suggests going outside to gather food. This sparks Francis's anger, and he reveals that Iris had planned to leave him before the outbreak. Iris admits this and says she is no longer happy with her life. She demands the map for the sake of their sons, but Francis burns it instead. The next morning, Francis goes to search for food, but only finds sugarcane. While there, he hears gunshots in the distance, suggesting that people are nearby and fighting zombies. That night, he brings a large piece of wood from the basement and locks the door, chaining it shut. Iris and Josh become increasingly restless because of his controlling behavior. Josh touches a sensitive nerve when he points out that Francis is behaving just like his father did. Enraged, Francis strikes Josh, but before things escalate, they hear a knock at the door. And someone identifies themselves as a soldier named Corcuera, begging to be let in. Francis initially refuses to help, but Josh secretly removes the barricade, and Corcuera stumbles inside, injured and asking for medical assistance. Iris, being a nurse, immediately attends to his injuries. Corcuera explains that he was part of a convoy heading back from a supply run when zombies attacked, leaving him as the only survivor. He was directed toward the house by a mysterious man who helped him escape. Iris suspects that the man who helped Corcuera must have been Diego. Though hesitant, Francis agrees to help Corcuera, but insists that the soldiers stay in the basement for the night. Later, while everyone is asleep, Josh tells Iris that he plans to leave to find Diego or the camp. He also admits that he knows his true parentage, but still considers Francis as his real father. The next morning, Francis discovers Corcuera having breakfast with Lucas, but Josh is missing. After finding Josh's bedroom door unlocked, Francis realizes his son has escaped and flies into a blind rage. He grabs a hammer, goes to the kitchen, and strikes Corcuera in the head, killing him. The family watches in horror as Francis then knocks Iris unconscious. When Iris wakes up, she finds herself and Lucas locked in the basement. Meanwhile, Francis begins to lose his sanity. He kills the dog that attacked him and the chickens, cooks it, and dresses in Corcuera's military uniform. When Iris and Lucas refuse to eat the meat, Francis smashes the plate and reveals that when he was a child, his father would punish him if he didn't finish his food. Later, Iris and Lucas hatch a plan to escape. Francis suddenly wakes from a nap when Lucas screams. He rushes to the basement but is knocked out by a piece of furniture thrown by Iris. She grabs the keys and escapes with Lucas. As they attempt to leave the house, they are attacked by a zombified Diego. The two run back inside, but Diego grabs Iris. When Lucas tries to help, Diego attacks him. At this moment, Francis emerges from the basement and kills the zombie, but not before it bites Lucas on the hand. The family now faces a painful decision: amputate Lucas's arm or let him turn into a zombie. Iris is prepared to amputate his arm, but Francis convinces her to find another way. He says they must take Lucas to the nearest medical center. To do so, he rushes to the bridge where he had left their van. However, things take a tragic turn when Josh, who is at the bridge with a gun he took from a zombie soldier, sees Francis coming toward him. Mistaking him for a zombie due to his bloody military uniform, Josh shoots and accidentally kills his father. When he realizes what he has done, Josh desperately tries to apologize. Before he dies, Francis tells Josh that he has always considered him his son and instructs him to take the van and rescue the others. The film ends with Iris noticing Josh arriving at the house with the van. As Josh arrives at the house with the van, Iris and Lucas are left to cope with the tragic loss of Francis. Iris is devastated by his death, especially since his obsession with keeping them confined to the house led to the breakdown of their family. As Josh takes control, it becomes clear that he has inherited Francis's determination, but he also bears the weight of the loss of his father, who, in his final moments, accepted him as his true son. Iris, still mourning, starts to wonder about their future. The family's hope now rests on the map that Diego left behind, and Iris knows they need to head north to find the safety promised by the camp. But with the loss of Francis, the family dynamic has changed. Josh has stepped into a leadership role, and although he still carries the emotional scars of the past, he now feels the heavy responsibility of protecting his family and continuing to survive. The family packs their belongings into the van, ready to leave the house that Francis once tried so desperately to hold on to. The house, now empty and silent, symbolizes the broken past that they are leaving behind. With the map in hand, Iris drives, determined to find the camp, and with every mile, they put further distance between themselves and the horrors that Francis' actions had created. As they drive away, Iris reflects on the choices that led them to this point. She knows that their journey is far from over, and the world outside is still dangerous. But for the first time in a long while, she allows herself to hope again. The film ends with the van disappearing into the horizon, leaving the remnants of the zombie apocalypse behind them as the promise of a new beginning waits up ahead.